Hey everybody, it's your pal Mike Zombie, and this week we're going to talk about Zombie Christ from 2010. Now with a title like this, I was almost tempted to go and read other reviews to see what people thought if I should even get wound up in this one yet. And I didn't, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. Zombie Christ was done in 2010 by Beelzebub. One of those movies where I swear if you watch this movie and you get to the end, you'll see that it was the main voice of Zombie Christ was Beelzebub, written by Beelzebub, directed by Beelzebub, produced by Beelzebub, edited by Beelzebub, in a row. It's like you needed to fucking see your name in the crawl that many times. But Beelzebub actually made a pretty entertaining movie. I liked this film. One thing Bill likes is rampant, wild, unrestrained anatomy. Kind of like Russ Myers. The first 9 to 10 minutes somewhere in there was complete nudity. They flashed away for a few seconds to show Zombie Christ and some other shit but got back to nudity pretty quickly. That was kind of awesome. The storyline is basically a bunch of druids, modern day druids, most of which were naked girls bowing and kind of dancing oddly in the forest, and a guy who's kind of like wearing a death metal t-shirt with some kind of robe over it, and he's like going speaking, sound like Russian, invoking Christ apparently to rise and do his evil bidding. And so this goes on and on and on. Christ comes back as a zombie, and they don't reveal right away, but he's hunting down the bloodline of somebody. There was so many boobs, I fucking lost track of a lot of this story, to be honest with you, but the bloodline, I guess, of his ex-love when he was Jesus. And I don't know, like I said, a lot of history, biblical history, revisionist biblical history and hearsay and went into the writing of this. And I will say Beelzebub did a lot of reading about religion when he put this together. I'll give him kudos there. So Christ actually wanders around from suicide girl's house to suicide girl's house, knocking on the door, or sneaking in, and, of course, finding them naked, because, as we know, all girls are naked wherever they are. Thank you, girls, by the way, for being naked wherever you are. And he goes in and sexually violates them, and when that's done, he does this, like, soul-stealing thing where electricity kind of goes in between the two of them. I assumed it was going to be like Frank from Hellraiser. You know how, like, because Zombie Christ is nothing but... I'm sorry, before I get too carried away, I'd better describe Zombie Christ. Zombie Christ is some kind of weird collection of bones that appears to be a rib cage, a skull, and floppy kind of feet with a little bit of, like, meaty-looking sinew on it and some blood. Sometimes he appears to be controlled by hand, sometimes by a wire. He's got a crown of thorns, which honestly looks like some type of wicker basket that was fucking ran around his head a few times. I mean, folks, this movie is so bad it's good. What's one of those? At one point, before I forget, they tried to make, they had Zombie Christ laying there in the forest, all decrepit and bones, and, They wanted to make him look kind of rotten. So what they did was they put green little caterpillars on his skull and his wicker basket crown of thorns. I think they were trying to imply maggots, but of course, maggots aren't usually handy, but, somebody had a fucking pocket full of caterpillars, I suppose. Little tiny ones. It was really cute. You had to look close. There's really not much to his costume. His mouth opens and he talks, and he speaks in a very scary type of voice, as we all hope Jesus would, to scare the piss out of us, as we all know a walking Jesus would. I don't know. Personally, I'm a fucking atheist, so whatever. But I'm thinking Beelzebub must be as well, because and I'm going to try to keep this somewhat friendly, the things that I saw Zombie Jesus do. Because again, he's going from house to house, and I assumed it was like Frank, because he says he needs to get, like, things from these women. So I assumed he was going to reclaim his skin like Frank from Hellraiser. I was fooled. Zombie Jesus walks around and has sex with people, though he's just bones. He fingers some people. One girl, who was particularly cute, he actually cornholed that girl square in the butt to get the communion wafer that was in her intestines. Oh, man. And the whole time, all I could hear in my head was Clerks 2, where Jay is going, "The big dude's going to cornhole that ass with his wiener." I just couldn't stop thinking about it. Anyway, and I will say, Zombie Christ does pick a lot of really hot looking women to tear apart. You can tell many of them had no problem with full frontal nudity, showing the beeve, everything. They were cool with it. Others, you could tell in the negotiations, must have been like, I'd like to be in your movie, but I don't want to show my private parts. And then the one who must have gotten, I don't know, must have had any real acting credentials, she's like the heroine of the movie. She just gets down to her skivvies and nothing more. So the pecking order of, who wants exposure and who's actually done work seem pretty prevalent in this film. But there is a load of nudity in here, a lot. So if you want to see scantily clad women out of the scantily clad, Zombie Christ is a film for you. If you'd like a refresher in multiple types of religion and history, religious history, and the dogma of some of these religions, it might be for you as well. But one thing I did notice, this movie just came out last year, and I put in my notes here that I believe the plot was stolen originally from Dogma, and then kind of later Legion stole it from Dogma, and I believe Zombie Christ stole it from both of those movies, where the deal is this girl is, of course, this descendant of a long line of, I guess, Jesus' love or whatever. And for some reason, Zombie Christ, the pagans don't like this at all, or the druids or whatever, don't like this at all, and rose Zombie Christ to go around and kill every single person in that bloodline. Just like Dogma, because that bloodline can save the world, and the girl is the last one. And of course, that's straight out of Dogma, straight out of Legion. Of course, it's not an original story, but I will say that this movie was just boobtastic. What can I say? Some points of interest if you do see this film. There's an epic battle between a 300-year-old man, one overacting 30-something-year-old, and two big fat stoners in a public park on a soccer field. By the way, I do love the costuming because everybody in this movie is wearing like Danzig and Iron Maiden t-shirts, and that's fucking straight up my alley. I'm metal, believe me. So I like that. But the old man is fighting these three guys. Two of these guys are fucking double wides, and the other guy's just a real bad overactor making these faces and really crazy hand gestures. It's entertaining though, folks. It's so bad, it's good. Don't let me push you away from this film. They're fighting in the park, and the beauty is, how do you beat up an old man, right? So it's very clear that they're doing super slow like fight scenes, like how you walk underwater and try to punch somebody like in a pool, how you can actually make a sandwich by the time the fucking fist gets to you. It's the same thing. And they're moving real slow, but they're trying to use like camera effects and whatnot to make it look matrixy. Really funny shit, because in the middle of the slow-mo fight, you see little kids running by at full speed, probably 200 yards behind them, and a woman walking her dog like, what's going on? Oh well, as they're, fighting each other and blood's flying around. It was really funny stuff. I'm not going to lie. I would really like to bash Beelzebub's movie, but there were some boring parts, like when there weren't boobies on the screen, but it's pretty good. I'm going to read over some of my notes here. I'm trying to get more in depth with these things. I was kind of creeped out. Jesus, apparently, there's this, it's not a rape scene. They kind of submit, but there's like a very faux insertion with a chicken leg thing. I didn't much care for that. There was a nice crucifixion scene near the end where a bunch of hot naked girls were crucified by being tied to some trees, and they're just rubbing their butts all over the trees, lucky trees. At one point at the end, I go, crap, the heroine's going to have sex with the guy old enough to be her dad, because she appears to be something like, I don't know, 21. And the guy who's helping her, the main guy in this film's got to be like 40. I'm like, that's wrong. And then wait, fuck that. I'm like in my mid-30s. That's kind of awesome. So then it became like the heroine's going to have sex with a guy old enough to be your dad. Anyway, my other notes, my writing is so awful, I can't even really tell. I guess that was most of my notes. The movie goes on. Zombie Jesus kills everybody but the last girl. Then he makes the older dude who's protecting her kill her with like some kind of mind control spell. And then Zombie Jesus thinks they're going to be together, but she comes back as a deity and smitted Zombie Jesus. He's gone. Brings back the old man that she almost had sex with. And then there's this really uncomfortable scene at the end where they're like laying there half naked. She looks great. He looks like a sack full of antlers because they've got him wrapped up in like a blanket with his shirt off. And it's like he's got like nipple where it shouldn't be. I don't know what's up with that. But I'm going to start eating right and doing some It's calisthenics. But I salute you, sir. And Zombie Jesus, bless America. I don't know what we're doing next week. I thought I was going to hate this film, but actually, you know what? Wasn't that bad. So have a good week, and see ya.
Yo, you guys are gonna miss this shit. The big guy's gonna cornhole that ass with his wiener.